Alright, and so as Christians or followers of God, people of faith, we are commanded to well up the light of God. And so this is actually a little more complex, and it will have a severe impact on your life and the lives of those around you. Um, and so people, they won't always understand who or what they're serving. Some people will be deceived, they'll be led astray. And so, welling up the light means that you've acquired enough knowledge and wisdom to set out to accomplish a goal and have that goal result in good, right? Um, the EU is going down a authoritarian road, and they have been tightening their grip and tightening their grip, and they have been flooding the EU nations with illegals, regardless of the increase in crime. Now they want to implement the Digital Service Act, which will allow them to cover up any crime going on in the EU. This is evil, right? If you're doing that, it is evil. You're helping evil succeed, right? It's very, very bad. Uh, People won't understand that that's an evil thing. They'll just say, "Well, we don't want to disturb people's lives, etc., etc." But that it is evil, right? And so understanding that welling up the light so that you understand the difference between good and evil is important, because when you're making decisions in your life, you won't always know how they end up, right? Um, Understanding this is critical because in the case of the EU, right, their leadership tightening their control mechanisms and trying to force radical ideologies down their citizens' throats, etc., right? Uh, Against the will of the people, right? Thinking that it will be good. Now, for example, with Germany, right? Germany has let in 1 million immigrants a year for about 10 years now. And thinking that this will increase the GDP, well, it does indeed present a positive chart of a positive effect on the GDP. However, long term, this is going to be uh, disastrous for Germany because the crime is rising along with it, etc. Right? Uh, Oftentimes, right, cultures that are not goaling for the same thing, right, they will battle against each other, and you will have a war on your streets, as we're seeing in the UK, right? The current events of the UK, uh, believing that that is going to result in good, it's not possible, right? Some cultures, if a culture is too opposite to another, not putting them around each other is probably a good idea. So understanding that this would be uh, a result of the darkness of ignorance, right? Um, the EU thinking, oh, well, we're in charge, we're in control, who's going to stop us, etc., 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 right? Thinking that their methods were going to have a positive effect resulted in the Brexit, right? And that is this dip here. It is a 5.6% dip in the European Union's gross domestic product, right? And so thinking that, oh, this is going to have a good effect, oh, all these radical ideologies are going to be so good, oh, we're going to censor people's freedom of speech, it's going to work out so great, will it actually set the European Union back 5 to 10 years, something like that, right? The European Union will no longer get to participate in the United Kingdom's GDP growth, and that's going to have a significant detrimental effect upon the EU. And so, understanding that today we're seeing they're still going down the road of control and forced slavery, finding Hungary, things like this, they haven't learned that these ways, right, the ways of the darkness are unattractive, right? People don't want to be around them. They'll leave, right? That's why you don't see any successful nations throughout the entire earth that practice the sorts of things that they're doing, that embody them, right? There's no nation that its sole purpose is to police freedom of speech, right? And so you can probably guess people don't like it, right? And, if you do your research, you'll be able to determine what these things are. But UK's GDP, which is drastically shrinking because of the flood of immigrants that the European Union may or may not have part in, right? The mass genocide of a whole lot of people. Well, you can guess that people don't want to be a part of that, right? They don't like corruption. They like peace. They want success, right? They want to be thriving. And so you can imagine that even though von der Leyen and the European Commission believe that their methods are going to be positive, more likely, right, what you'll see is some more nations leaving the EU, and they're forcing radical ideologies that are against human nature down people's throats. Well, that has worked about 0% of the time throughout history. Now, this goes in to biblical teachings, and so this is the parable of the wedding banquet by Jesus Christ. A certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servants unto those who had been invited, "Come, for everything is now ready." But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said, "I've bought a field and I must go see it. Please excuse me." Another said, "I have bought 5 yoke of oxen. I'm on my way to try them out. Please excuse me." Still another said, "I just got married, so I can't come." The servants came back and reported this unto his master. Then the owner of the house became angry and ordered the servants, "Go quickly into the streets and the alleys of the town, bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame." "Sir," the servant said, "what you have ordered has been done, but there is still room." Then the master told his servant, "Go out unto the roads of the country lanes and compel them to come, so that my house will be full. I tell you, not one of these who were invited will taste my banquet." And so Jesus is talking about good and evil coming together, right? And this is something that will never work, right? Good hates evil, evil hates good. That's how it works, okay? That's how it's been from the dawn of time. The battle between good and evil, it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going until, well, who knows what happens. But understanding that nations saying, "Oh, this is a place for everyone," well, you are trying to force the war between good and evil to end, right? What will happen is the good people and the evil people, they will be fighting, right? And that is not conducive towards a productive, successful nation, right? Working together, unity, right, requires that you have a common goal. Evil's goal is often to edify itself and gain power, etc. While good has a more benevolent, let's help everybody. I can help myself and other people, sort of different ideologies. So understanding that these ideologies, they're not going to get along, they're not going to work together, and so trying to force the change of how things have been from the dawn of time, well, your chances are about 0, right? So understanding this is important when you're deciding who to let in and who not to, because eventually, right, a division like this will take place, and you'll be set back 10, 20, 30, 100 years if your nation survives, right? So understanding this is extremely important. A much better ideology to practice in life is once again found in the words of Jesus Christ. "Therefore, all things that you should have mankind do unto you, in like manner do you also unto them. For this sums up the law and the prophets," right? And so when you're thinking of things that you should do towards people, good things, you'll start welling up a love towards other people, a genuine care towards other people, and understanding that this is the core of the Christian faith. It is the core that God has established in the world. And so when you're seeing things that are lacking of love, right, forcing slavery, forcing ideologies, finding other people for immoral reasons, right? You don't have the same opinions I have, so I'm going to fine you $1 billion. Things like this. It will never work, right? There is no nation of hate that exists that is extremely successful in the world, right? It's not what builds. Hatred results in destruction, killing, etc. Horrible things, right? While love causes people to go out and seek, right? I love my family, so I'm going to go seek out ways to provide for them and build them up and teach them how to be exceptional. Understanding these foundational principles that are indeed Christian theology is extremely important.